My name is Pressley Henningsen, and I'm an attorney at RSH Legal. If you ride a motorcycle, you know how much fun it can be to hop on your bike and get out on the road. Unfortunately, motorcycle crashes can ruin anyone's day on the road. Motorcycle riders are far more likely to suffer a traumatic brain injury, a TBI, during a bike crash. This is because of riders having a chance of falling off or being ejected from the motorcycle and hitting their head once they land. Some of the symptoms of a traumatic brain injury can include confusion, disorientation, a headache, dizziness, mood changes, or other impairments, including impairments in thinking, moving, or acting. If any of these symptoms are observed after a motorcycle accident, contact a doctor or visit an emergency room immediately. Brain injuries can be deceiving because often a victim can communicate normally after suffering a mild injury. They may not seem very confused or disoriented. In fact, much of the damage from a brain injury can occur hours, even days after the crash. The reason for this is the way the brain reacts to an injury. Right at the moment of impact, during a motorcycle accident, the brain is jostled around inside the skull. It can crash against the sides and the top of the skull, causing bruising, bleeding, and even tearing in the brain. While this damage can cause the symptoms of a head injury that were discussed earlier, the hours and days after a crash are the time when the brain damage can become more severe and more noticeable. The trauma from a motorcycle crash can cause the brain to swell. The brain is encased in the skull, which cannot expand because it's made of bone. This means the brain swells up against the skull, causing further harm, even to parts that were not originally damaged by the crash. If this swelling is not immediately resolved by prompt treatment, it can cause severe damage to the victim, even including death. Even if the victim does not die from their injuries, they can have long-term impairments that can affect them for years. These long-term impairments can include loss of motor skills, trouble speaking, memory loss, seizures, inability to work, mood changes, including depression, anxiety, or unfounded anger. Recovery from a TBI can take a long time. The brain is a very complex organ. The amount of healing and how fast a person heals will depend on the person injured. Rehabilitation may take months or even years. A motorcycle crash victim that suffers a severe brain injury may deal with these mental and physical challenges for the rest of their life. Because suffering a TBI often means hospitalization and rehabilitation, medical bills from the motorcycle accident victim can be overwhelming. If the bills are piling up, you should speak with an experienced motorcycle crash lawyer to see what the options are. The absolute best way to prevent a brain injury from an Iowa motorcycle crash is to avoid it. The second best thing to do is to wear a helmet. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, helmeted motorcyclists were significantly less likely to experience a traumatic brain injury during a crash. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that helmets reduce the risk of head injury by up to 69%. Now, Iowa is one of the few states where a motorcycle helmet is not required by law to ride. I have to admit, I've ridden without a helmet. However, it's a smart decision to wear a helmet every time you get on a motorcycle. Not all motorcycle helmets are created equal. When selecting a bike helmet, make sure it meets the minimum safety standards at least. These standards ensure that the helmet protects you as much as possible. Look for a DOT, Department of Transportation sticker, or a Snell sticker somewhere on the box and the helmet. Both organizations run tests on these helmets to make sure they will withstand the impacts and stay on your head during a collision. If you've suffered a traumatic brain injury, or you know someone who has, or any other injury in a motorcycle accident, call RSH Legal at 1-800-433-0283 or download our free law guide to Iowa motorcycle accident claims. RSH Legal, fighting for fairness.